Hey everyone. So I I have been juggling school and you know, grieving my father and just really getting my calendar back together, just getting all of the things in line and organized that I want to do to feel like I have a productive life. And so because of that, I have been kind of dragging behind on getting the episodes out on a regular basis. So I thought, rather than just not put out an episode uh, today because I was lagging behind, I would just jump on and do something that was on my mind. I really, I, I am going to make a confession. I watch TikTok. Okay, I'm 42 years old, and I watch TikTok, and I've been saving a bunch of videos on there, and the category I've been saving them in is "Let's talk about this." And most of them are parenting videos. Most of them are videos about just things that make me go, "Huh?" Is that makes me think a little deeper? Makes me think about, is that true? There's something in there that pulls at me. And today's video that I want to talk to you about, I can send you a link if you're really interested in it. Just reach out to me and let me know, and I will find a link and send it to you so you can watch it. But it's talking about raising mentally weak children. Sit with that for a second. Raising mentally weak children. Now, I have to. What that makes me feel is that I have some biases inside of me around what it means to be weak. Okay, I was raised a certain way to be tough, to just show up, to just figure it out, to grin and bear it. My dad used to say, or he would say, "Unt, grunt, and go on." But that's just what you did. That's what he had to do, and I realize that there's a lot of people that have to do that. So and listen to me when I say that I'm not a person who thinks that I am going to come on here and tell you how you should live your life. I'm just having a conversation about the possibilities that are out there. And when it comes to raising mentally weak children, I think about this idea of letting our kids struggle, letting them like have what I call lowercase s suffering. It's like lowercase t traumas. They need to learn how to solve problems. Like my whole job, our whole job as parents, this is my belief. And please interact with me. If this is not what you believe, I want to hear it because I want to understand parenting from all points of view. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying this is what I believe. I believe that we learn from struggle. And I hate struggling. I hate waiting. I don't love waiting in lines. I don't love math problems that I can't figure out or science homework that doesn't make sense to me. I get really frustrated. I've even emailed teachers and got a little emotional. I can be a little dramatic. Ask my brothers and sisters. But the struggle, that is where I really believe that we learn. And it's our job to raise kids that don't need us anymore, to protect them until they don't need us to protect them anymore, to teach them until they don't need us to teach them anymore. And some of you out there might be going, there will never be a time where my kid does not need me to teach them. My kid will never be ready, or they will never not need me. And maybe to some degree that's true, but also if you're really upset about that right now, think about that. And what if they didn't? Because the truth is, one day you're going to be gone. You and I are going to be gone. My dad was here for a short time and now he's not. And I can never call him up again and ask him, how do I fix this thing? Or how do I look at this project that I built, or check out, there's no more of that. And what I'm saying is that you one day and I one day as a parent are not going to be here anymore. Stella is going to have to figure things out on her own. And so that's why I think it's so important that we teach these kids at a young age, like right now, while the stakes are so low, that it's okay to be bored. It's okay to not know the answer to something. It's okay to not get something that you want. Now, I'm not sitting here saying like, I'm not somebody who I don't plan on spanking my kid. I think there's better ways. But again, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that's how I believe. Let's both do it our way and see how it works out. But I don't think I have to put suffering on her. This life is suffering. As long as I'm trying to protect her or trying to just be honest with her, telling her that she can't have a toy that's missing is suffering for her. That is enough to just ruin her world. To tell her sometimes that it's nap time because she's losing her mind, she's crying. Or when I have to say, hey, are you hungry? She's like, lets herself get to the point of suffering where she's crying. And then she doesn't, her brain is not to the point where she can go, oh, you know what? I need something to eat. And that's because, developmentally, that's because this brain, this prefrontal cortex up here, I know, big word, but it just means this front part of your brain that controls logic and reasoning. Okay. It's the thing that makes us different from animals. This is not fully developed until you're like 25 or 26. It's different for different people, but around that age. And so until then, we as parents have to act as that prefrontal cortex. Now, here's the tricky part. If we haven't done the work on ourselves to develop the skills, that's right, skills, these are some have to be learned, how to reason, logic, critical thinking, self-awareness, empathy, all of these things are they come easier to some people than others. But they are skills that can be learned if you don't already have them. But if you don't know that there's skills that need to be practiced, then over time, you just get to be 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. And you're like, mind is blown because you didn't realize you could learn empathy. You can learn patience. We get to this point, and you know what? I'm 42. So maybe when I'm 80, I'll be like, I was wrong. This is just how we are. But I don't think so. And the reason that I give that example, people say, well, this is just who I am at a certain age. I was in an acting class with this guy. What was his name? It was like Ed or Rob. If you ever listen to this podcast, you can tell me what his name was. Anyway, he was like 80 years old. No lie. And he comes into this acting class with all these like 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. And I was one of the 30-year-olds. Anyway, and we're all doing this exercise where we repeat back and forth at each other, and it gets really emotional. And sometimes at the beginning, I think a lot of people were like, they put the old man gloves on and they were like, oh, I'm just trying to be really nice to you. And then like towards the end, we all became closer and closer to each other, and we just let loose. And I, in particular, had some great interactions with this guy where we just go at each other. And this little mousy old man who, that's what I thought when I first met him. became this roaring lion, and he came at me with this ferocity that I had never seen in him. And something had changed within him. Something has changed within me. Anyway, something changed in him, and it was beautiful to see. And I think about that every time I hear someone who's older, or I see someone who seems stuck in their ways. I think science would call it neuroplasticity. You have this ability to rewire the neurons in your brain. You just have to make, and now listen, I know when I say you just have to do anything, that's very reductive. It's taking something that is very complex and making it smaller. But what I'm saying is the trick is to make the decision that you're going to change. How you get to that decision and how you execute that decision is completely up to you, and it's your own journey. And I can't tell you how to get there. I mean, it may, like I said, about empathy and all that stuff, it comes easier to other people than others. And, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe not everybody can do it. But enough people can do it that I believe that it's not a fact for all people. I've seen it done, so I know it can be done. That's what I'm saying. And on that note, I want to say that if you can figure out a way to do it, then you become that example of someone who does it, proving to other people around them who have never seen someone like you do it, that it can be done. You can change your mind. You can grow. You can get better. You can heal your old wounds. Toughness is all about struggle. It's all about solving problems. It's all about, Stella hasn't said it in a while, but every once in a while she'll go back to this word that she used to love to say, which is stuck. And I've said this on the show before. And she says, I'm stuck. And I know she probably doesn't understand it, but that's not the point. The point is I want to get this in her body and in her brain early, that you are never stuck anywhere besides in your head. Even if you are trapped under a boulder in your arm, you're not stuck. You just don't want to chew your arm off. And I get it. I wouldn't want to chew my arm off either. Probably not chew. You'd probably find something sharp to cut it with. My point is that that's a metaphor for all these other times in our life. And when we're talking about our kids, the point, like I said, is to teach them, raise them while they're, the Bible that I learned up growing. There's a verse in there somewhere that says, if you raise them up in the ways of the Lord, or raise them up. Some people change it to raise them up right, and they will never depart. There's some truth to that, because there's this window that we have, and I firmly believe this, and maybe science backs it up, but my experience tells me that it's got legs, that there's this window that we have of influence over our kids before the hormones start in, where we can allow them certain moments of suffering and boredom. The phones, listen, I'm going to come at them. I'm going to come at the phones. I'm just going to say it. There's an addiction situation going on there for me with the phone. It's true. I'm very honest about that. But it's something that we can change, we can shift for our kids if we just increase the awareness that it is and can be a problem, if not looked at right now at a young age in this window. Because when they get to 25 and their brain is wired and developed, whatever that age range is, then there are certain things that begin to become solidified thought processes and beliefs and values. And if they are not allowed to find a place where they can be bored and figure it out when they're 0 to 10, if they're not allowed to not have the answer and have to find a book or listen, I'm not saying that there will ever be a time where we're not going to have the answers right at our fingertips. In fact, I would love to think that we go into the wild blue yonder, into the future, and that we'll always have the internet and artificial intelligence, and it'll all get better, and all this environmental stuff will be fixed, and utopia. I'm an optimist. That part of me is, but there's also a part of me that says, what if this mad world gets even madder, and people lose their minds, and we do end up having to face something like a technological apocalypse where we have to go back to listen, I'm not going to get into politics. I feel very strongly about a lot of choices that current administration is making, but that's not what this show is about. What I will say is that I think I'll say this. I've been learning in my education classes. I'm taking an intro to education class and a multicultural education class right now. And one of the things that I learned is that we're supposed to teach kids to be prepared for anything, to listen to each other, to allow them to express themselves as who they are. We're talking to the whole kid, but at the same time to prepare them for anything. Now, how do you do that? I don't want to be someone who is like constantly doom and gloom and fear mongering, because I do believe that there's a lot of beauty in life. Okay. Fire is helpful and harmful. And until we understand its power and possibility, my dad used to say this all the time. I would ask him, because I would see the circular saw blade or the table saw blade spinning, and I just, in my mind, I imagine my hand getting caught up in there and just like ripping my hand apart, blood everywhere. You like that visual? And I would say, Dad, I would be so scared of that blade. And he's like, no, I'm not afraid of it. I respect it. And I think I get that. I think I understand what he's saying. Like, it's not, fear and respect maybe I think about fear, and I think about someone that is scary, someone that is, if you don't follow these rules, I'm going to torture you, or I'm going to make you hurt if you don't follow these rules. And that's the extreme of it, right? So I always talk about, I'm constantly bringing this up about the pendulum swinging back and forth. And so if the pendulum over on this side, let's call this darkness and evil, is fear, and the pendulum swinging over to this side is respect, then how do we find somewhere in the middle? And yes, I have my fingernails painted, whatever. All I'm saying is that life is full of both beautiful and horrible things. And that goes for people too. As much as I want to believe that every single person is capable of doing great good, I also believe that every single person is capable of doing great harm. So I want to raise Stella in a world where she can ride her bike down the street by herself or with her friends and not fear someone kidnapping her. I want to raise her in a world where she can be made fun of at school and it not break her. But I also want to raise her in a place where she's not made fun of at school. But kids can be mean. I'm not saying that it's necessary. I'm just saying it can happen. And the reason that I think it can happen, and I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, is that they're being raised by parents and they're being taught that it's okay. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's what I believe. Anyway, I don't want to be on here all day. I got other stuff I got to do, but I just wanted to come on and say that this is something that we should talk about and have a conversation about. Building mentally tough kids. And I think everybody has different ideas of what weakness looks like. Crying is not weakness. Being sensitive is not weakness. Being emotional is not weakness. And you have to be, you don't start off strong. I mean, from the time that you're born, you're fucking helpless. Anyone could just break you. You have to learn how to survive in this world. And we don't have to be awful to our children in order to make them tougher. The world will be awful to them. And we can be the safe place that they land and know that you can do this. You can do hard things. And for the rest of my days, until I breathe my last breath, I will be here when things feel too hard, when things feel too scary. I will be here. We don't have to add to the trauma, to the problem. And you can roll your eyes all you want when I say the word trauma, but it's just a fucking word. Just listen to it. Just listen to what I'm saying. Be curious about what I'm saying and don't just I want you to exercise a little mental toughness right now. If you're listening to this and you are bitching at your radio or at the screen and you are making fun of me, I want you to just take a breath. I want you to step back and I want you to just let this, what I've said here today, sit with you. And take what's helpful and leave the rest. Okay? The world is full of things, moments, stuff that we don't want to deal with, or that we think is wrong, or that we think is bad. And when we react, that is the result of us being mentally weak. When we react in the moment, a lot of times that is us being mentally weak. When we were cave people, when we are in certain situations, sometimes we have to react in the moment. Sometimes we do, but not all the time. Okay? An argument is not that time. If someone threatens your life, that's the time. But unless your life or someone else's life is in danger, then reacting quickly without thinking, without thought, without process, that's mental weakness. That's not mental toughness. And the last thing that I'll say that I was taught by a stage combat guy, shout out to my buddy Matt, is, and somebody probably told him this, but everybody knows this. I said it to somebody the other day and they said it right along with me. I thought it was like this sage wisdom that he came up with, but it's that slow is smooth and smooth. Now that's fast. So be smooth, everybody. All right. I'm out of here. I got stuff to do. I love you guys, and I will get the next episode of Pappy out to you very soon. And thanks for listening. Cheers, guys.